Run, party, repeat. Welcome to the East Coast Adventures Dirt and Vert Podcast, where we talk all things running, racing, and training to help you get ready for your next big adventure.
Learn from our successes and our failures, and have fun at the same time. Join us right here every week with inspiring guests who share their captivating tales from the trails. And remember, nobody cares.
Run faster. All right, welcome back to the Dirt and Vert Podcast. I'm David.
And I'm Matt.
And we have Bad Beard Events race director with us today, Ginny Smith.
Hello.
So for people that don't know Ginny Smith, she puts on several races in Chattanooga. She's very well known around the area in Chattanooga for her races. We were actually just talking before we even started the podcast about how cool her artwork is for her logo. If you've never seen it, you've got to just Google Bad Beard Events and look at it. It's pretty awesome. But Ginny is also a talented ultra runner too, so we're going to learn about her today, about how she got into running and how she became a race director. Ginny, just tell us a little bit about who you are and how you got into running.
I am Mississippian and former Mississippian, I should say. I've lived long enough in Tennessee now, a little over 15 years, but grew up in Oxford, Mississippi. My dad was a quarterbacks and receivers coach at Ole Miss. So athletics was pretty strong. My mom was a high school kickball champion.
I love it.
Athletics are pretty strong in the genes, and started running to high school cross country. Started running for the high school when I was in junior high and loved that, and just continued to do it, not in college, but just continued to do it through college, just socially to meet people, things like that. And when I moved to Chattanooga, I had been in the pharmaceutical world for a long period of time. And so I was trying to figure out what city they were going to move me to or where I was going to live. And had friends in Chattanooga that said, oh, pick this place. If they can move you here, pick this place. And so came to visit Chattanooga, fell in love with it. And then once I moved here, saw how big the trail running community was not a trail runner at all. I mean, North Mississippi has, a couple hills,
Yeah.
no trails, no water, and so, joined in with some meetup groups here, and the rest was history. Randy Horton, I think from Wild Trails, who puts on all the Wild Trails races, I think he probably had a meetup almost every day, just at some place different each time to run. And so I started, easing my way. I say this because you'll laugh. Easing my way into trail running. I think my first trail run here was maybe, 3 miles, and then it went to 5 miles. And then my friend Fred Doss, who I was running a lot with, said, you think you could run 18 on the Cumberland Trail? And I was like, I don't even know what the Cumberland Trail is, but sure. Well, let's go do that. And I died, but then also recognized this is something that I really love, and continued to get more involved with runs and meeting people, and just really fell in love with the friendships I was making, and then also the landscape that we have over here. It's just incredible. So, and then that, yes, kind of took me into a place where I went from 0 to 100 and said, okay, well, I'll try this, 10K trail race, and then I'll do and then I'll run a 35 miler, maybe. So that was my entry into the running community in Chattanooga and to trail running.
Well, that's pretty awesome. So when you had moved to Chattanooga, then you had not ran on trails at all?
No, I mean, because I run half marathon, everything had been on road. And it's weird because even though Ole Miss is in Oxford and it's this incredible school with great athletics, all of my running, when I was running cross country, we did that on golf courses. So we were out on that was our training. We were out on golf courses training, and because there was not a trail system. I mean, we don't have mountains. And it just wasn't. So when I, getting to Chattanooga, like, whoa, that's wild. Look at that.
You had plenty of mountains in Chattanooga.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that is just such a unique thing to for the city is to have so many options with different types of terrain. And it's kind of whatever you're in the mood for, you can go get. If you want heavy technical, you can go get it. If you don't, that's great. You got that too. So I love being here and really love the community and everything that Chattanooga offers to runners.
So you do an 18-mile trail run. So you jumped right in like most people do. Just, I can do that. I don't even know where I'm going, but let's do it.
Yeah. Didn't know anything. I think about this too. It's like, what are course markings? What are blazes? What does that mean? I was so used to following people around who grew up here. So Fred Doss grew up here, and then Dreama Campbell, and they were really good friends in high school, but they grew up knowing all the trails in Sail Creek, all the trails in Soddy Daisy, all the trails in Chattanooga. So I'd go run with them and not even think, like, I didn't have to think about it. I just could look around, do my thing. And then, one day you wake up and you go, I wonder if I could do this on my own. And then realize, I should probably learn these trails a little bit better.
Yeah, it's kind of funny when you first start trail running and you're following somebody. You don't really think about that until you're by yourself. And then you're like, do I go left?
Yep. Where do I go? Yeah.
Where do I go right? Yep.
Yeah, I turned myself around a couple times, and then, it's because there wasn't a lot of mapping stuff either at the time. It's so when I first moved here, it was kind of getting the map out or getting online, kind of tracing like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Because for whatever reason, I was not using a phone to look at any type of trail or any of that. So.
Well, technologies came a long way. When we started trail running, we didn't have all of these maps that we have now. So
all the goodies.
Yeah, it's definitely much easier now to navigate.
You didn't have your map on your wrist.
Yeah, or downloading. There wasn't Strava to download someone's course and go out there and run it and have your watch follow it and say you're off.
Wrong direction. Wrong direction. It tells me that now. It's funny. I know this isn't but there's a guy that we know that's running HOTS right now, and it's one of Laz's races, Heart of the South, but his name's Walt. And when I woke up this morning, you just talking about getting lost reminds me of his post. He had a post this morning and said, I woke up, I had a dream that I was running in the wrong direction. And I was. And then I laughed. I giggled a little bit when I saw it, and I was like, that's Walt. But then someone literally in the comments section, when a lady actually won one Crystal Wheatley, so she's queen of the South. She won the race, which was cool. But underneath, I think it was underneath one of her posts or one of her comments when they posted it, they posted a screenshot of Walt's mileage. And they said, or no, it was a different one. They said they thought someone was cutting the course. And someone posted and said, well, not Walt. He's getting plenty of miles in both directions.
There's nothing like that. It's like, no. I don't want that. I don't want the extra.
That just reminds me of trail running sometimes. When you're on a new trail, it's easy to get turned around if you've never been there. So I totally understand where you're coming from.
Yes.
So you go do an 18-mile race. You kind of fall in love with trail running. And then I see that, Run Sign Up doesn't always tell a good story because sometimes there's other races you've signed up for that may not be on here. But I see, your second race on here is Georgia Jewel 35-miler.
Yeah.
So you jumped pretty quick into 18 and just went on to 35?
Yeah. And I had a friend say, you're insane. What are you doing? I was like, oh, it's going to be fun. I can do that. Also, I think I was early 30s. It's like, how old was I? So, you still are not making sense. You're still kind of like, oh, I can do anything and it's fine. Well, so I signed up for that, ran that race, finished, knew that my foot felt a little funky, but decided that I should run Stump Jump 2 weeks after that. and then ended up quit at mile 17 and then ended up in a boot because I'd had a stress fracture. So that was kind of my first entry into, maybe I can't, but I'm still going to push it anyway. But yeah.
Well, you must have been running pretty hard at Georgia Jewel because you were first female.
Yes. That was, so I had been running here, doing some distance stuff here, but not too much. And I wasn't sure if I could run that race or not, but we went out on a training run out on the course and I felt really good. So I thought, well, yeah, sure, I'll sign up for this. And the whole race, I felt great. Probably just adrenaline being my first kind of big race because I had not run a marathon before. My, longest distance had been race wise had been, half marathon, whatever. And so I just felt really, really good. And then after that race, Rock Creek called me and said, hey, we want you to be on our race team. And so I met a great group of people through that and got to know more about just trail running, because that was just not a place that I had spent much time in. And so hearing all of these big names and, what is all this? And you get really into it very quickly. And that kind of led me into becoming a race director after I'd spent some time being on the race team and getting to know the owners of Rock Creek and other people on the team and how the events, because they liked for us to be at the events and I'd been in, I'd been in pharmaceuticals at this point for almost 15 years. And I was driving a ton, which is blah, you're just, and it's just, what am I doing with my life? I have all of this beautiful stuff around me. I don't want to be in the car. And so then Chad Weichel and Jonathan Scott, who were two of the owners, sat down with me one day and just said, would you ever be interested in race directing? I was like, I have no idea how to do that. So no. And I gave them some other names and said, here, try these people. I think they might. And Chad said, I really think you would be a good fit. I just want you to think about it. So went home, thought about it, and then came back and said, okay, I think I can try this. And so Chad and I became really strong partners in the Rock Creek Race Series, which then later became Bad Beard Events. So
love it. Awesome. That's kind of how it all started. The origin story. I love it.
Everything. It was like having a beer at Tremont Tavern. It was like, do you want to race direct? I don't think so. Are you sure? Well, let me think about it. Let me drink another beer and I'll tell you.
Wow. So you go from never running on a trail to winning a 35-mile race in Georgia, and then quickly getting on a race team and becoming a race director all in like a year?
It was, well, let's see. It was because I have been here. So it was probably maybe three-ish years because I was they still had somebody there because I was on the race. I'm trying to remember how long I was on the race team for however long it lasted. I don't remember, but it was in between, maybe within a 3-year period because now I'm about 10 years with having been a race director or being a race director rather. So, yeah.
So you messed your foot up really bad in Georgia Jewel.
Yes.
Did that play in your head any? Did it make you not want to ever do trail running or anything again? Or were you?
No, because I'm crazy. No, I was just like, oh God, get me out of this thing so I can start running again. Two, not being from Chattanooga, most of the time that I spent with people was through running. All of my close friends, or many of my close friends at the time, and still, I come through running, road running, trail running, just, meeting other people at races. And so that was kind of such a lonely spot to be in. Yeah. You can't get out and do anything. And so I was determined, like, okay, I will stay off this thing and then I'm going to get right back out and go into it, which was not the smartest idea. but I still did it anyway. And then I've had setbacks, but I'm so hard headed and I'm competitive and I want to be with people. And so, yeah, even though I don't know if I have ever fully healed any of the injuries that I've had, because I had an ankle repair, then also, I snapped my second metatarsal after the ankle repair because I got out and started running and I thought it would be great, 3 weeks later to do a really hard hill workout. And so it was like every hill in Chattanooga that I could find, just like, let's go run all the hills. And then I just remember climbing up Forest and all of a sudden you could just feel something kind of feel it pop, basically. So I had to be carried back.
Oh, wow.
That's a scary feeling.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. But I have had good runs in between all of this stuff. I've had some really great runs, but I still am, going to be 50 next year and I'm still learning how to take care of myself. It's, and strength training and all of that. I was not a big strength trainer. I would go to a boot camp every now and then, but the importance of strength training that's changed a lot, and recognizing you got to be strong. Your body's got to be strong if you're going to put that kind of, that many miles on it on a regular basis. So I'm getting there. I'll be 70 when I get it figured out.
You have to pace yourself, you'll figure it out.
My boyfriend, we were laughing because he was talking about he is great. And he's one of the sponsors for my races. He's super helpful in all of the stuff, but he's also a runner. And he said, if I told you that I wanted to bike ride across America, what would your response be? He was like, oh my gosh, let's do it today. Let's go right now. Whatever you want to do. And he said, okay, no, because we need to talk about the route. We need to talk about the challenges. It's like, what? That doesn't
Figure it out on the way.
Yeah, my brain just goes full. Like I'm full on, let's do it. Great. It's like when Mary called to go run with Caleb.
I was getting ready to say, your conversation with your boyfriend is very much like the conversation I have with Mary. She is the voice of reason. I am ready to start right then.
Yeah, let's go do it. Why not?
She doesn't
figure it out later.
She probably won't want us to talk. Like, David, come on, say yes. Let's go do this.
I'm like, we can run across the country. We don't have a sprinter van, but we can get one on the way.
Yeah.
Just sleep in the back of the truck. It'll work out.
I know. Well, when Mary reached out and said, hey, I have an athlete who, is running from California back to North Carolina. I thought about you. I just said yes. I didn't even think about where it would be, where we're going, anything like that. And Jeff says to me, didn't you say that something was hurting in your body? It's like, I don't remember that. And he said, I'm pretty sure you said that yesterday. It's like, oh, it's fine. I'll be fine.
It'll be healed by then. Be healed. Yeah.
Yeah. So I got the pleasure of for anybody that doesn't know this story real quick, I got the pleasure of meeting Ginny on the way to run with Caleb across Tennessee as he was crossing into Tennessee. And it's myself, Mary, Ginny, and Heather Watson. And we're in my Land Cruiser going down the interstate. And we get there, we're there all day, and I'm following them. I was going to wait and run that night. These ladies were just absolutely killing it. I think Ginny ended up running like a 50K with Caleb that day.
Yeah.
But as it gets closer to the evening and it's almost my turn to run, like we're getting close, the transmission goes out in the Land Cruiser, and I believe I have Ginny and Heather in the car with me, and you just hear this pop. And Mary and Caleb's running. They're running together, and we're like right beside them. And then all of a sudden we stop, and they both look over, and I just looked at Ginny and Heather, and I said, I'm pretty sure the transmission just went out.
I feel so sad. I mean, that was just my heart broke We just talked about that car, and it's the best thing, and it's so good, and here we are. And then he went out, and then it was after 5, or it was almost 5, all the rental car places were closed. There was just no easy. We were in the middle of nowhere. There's no.
Yeah, I had to get an Uber to take me to the airport in Alabama. So, anyways, we made it all work. I love my Land Cruiser, but the transmission, we're back on the road now. But I just thought it was funny that the very first time Ginny meets me, we're in a situation anyway that's kind of cool. But then also, like, I'm telling her, they're riding in this Land Cruiser, which they're probably like, we were going to all like nap in this thing because we got the rooftop tent on it. We got the mattress and everything ready in the side, and it just crashes, and the transmission goes out, and we're just kind of like, we're screwed now.
Yeah. So he got this thing back.
Yes.
Friday, and then he takes it on his first trip to Nashville. Just got it back. No clue if it's going to, be good or not good.
Ginny, we just had this conversation. I'm like you. I'm all
He's
in.
like, let's go.
They told me it's fixed. I'm ready.
It worked. I'm glad.
Yeah, Mike's like, if I see you on the side of the road Saturday, I'll pick you up. And I was like, no need, man. I know how to get an Uber. I'm really good at it.
Yeah. That's the other thing. I think Mary had said, or it was towed to a place that didn't even work on Toyotas or something. If there was something about it that it's kind of like, oh, well, it's going to have to be towed somewhere else. It's like,
yeah, we could have a whole podcast on that, but
I know, okay.
that poor thing got towed 3 times, but we're good now.
It's got a brand new one. It's ready.
It was really cool because I got to see Ginny and Heather and Mary all in their element running with Caleb. Caleb was having a really hard time that day, and his whole demeanor changed getting to run with these ladies, and they lifted him up, and he's finished his run across America now, and it was really cool to see. But y'all were a big part of getting him across Tennessee, and I thought that was really cool.
That was so much fun, and getting to know Heather, getting to know you, getting to know him, getting to know his family and friends. That was it was an incredible experience all the way.
Absolutely. Yeah. I can't wait to see you ladies in the documentary. So I want to ask you a question, Ginny. Of all the races, so it looks like your longest race, tell me if I'm wrong, but your longest race is Lookout 50?
Mm-hmm. That's probably it was my longest race. I'd never really thought about doing anything other than 50Ks. And I'd been New York Marathon training. And I had done that in November, and then came back from the marathon, felt great. Just reached out to actually Matt Sims, who is the one who started Stump jumping, all the stuff. Reached out to Matt Sims and said, hey, what do you think if and Lookout 50, could I do it? And he said, yes. I was like, well, tell me what to do. And he said, okay. So he just said, in the next few weeks, I want you to do this, this, this. And so I ran the 50 miler, having done just having run the marathon, and then did a shorter, maybe 20 mile after that. And man, it was great. I loved that race because I just feel so comfortable on those trails, and had been running those trails for such a long time. And the bluff is so beautiful. And then getting into Lula Lake and going over into Long Branch, which is also really, really pretty. It's like those were areas that I was spending a lot of time running in anyway. So it just felt like I was running in my backyard, and I loved it. And I've been on the Wild Trails board for, I guess, going on 7 years, but have been friends with Randy since I moved here. He and Chris are just wonderful, and was excited just to be out there. I typically volunteer, but was thrilled to be out there participating. So I love that race a lot.
Yeah, and Lookout is, that's a pretty historic race for that area. I mean, it's been around since early 2000s. Like, it's one of the older races.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is kind of cool.
I did not race, but there was Fred Fletcher, who was the former chief of police in Chattanooga, moved out to Colorado. During COVID, he said, hey, let's get this group together. Let's run for 24 hours and see what we can get, and just have friends run with us and all that, because there was really nothing you could do during COVID. So I think I picked 3 miles maybe every hour. I'm trying to remember how I did it, but I would just have friends. I started at 6 a.m., have friends that come meet me, and then run and run and run. And I got a little over, I think it was like 67 miles or something like that. But it was, and I loved that too. It's like, oh, this is not bad. I could do this. If staying awake for 24 hours, at least I know I could get, almost 70 miles in. That feels good. But that's been the longest distance that I've ever put in over a period of time, for sure. So,
well, and I think it's pretty amazing that, I mean, most of your races that you have done, you podiumed, even Lookout 50.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's pretty impressive.
When I'm healthy, I go really hard. If I'm healthy and I'm feeling good, I do love to train. I get frustrated if I'm training and I'm not feeling good. And then it's just kind of like, oh, I can't do this. But I'm learning to let control go a little bit more, with age. But, for whatever reason, if I run a race, it's really hard. I can always hear my dad, which is, possibly one of the reasons I go to therapy, in my head going like, what are, like, go get it. What are, because it's always, he's always going to be the football coach. He's always going to be, amping you up, like, and hoping that you're training and doing all the stuff. And so, when I sign up for a race, I really get excited about racing. So, I don't sign up if I don't feel like I'm in very good shape, which is most of the time.
How long did it take you to dial in your nutrition?
Oh man, that has taken me forever. It's still a learning process. There's so many new things now, so I bought the salty margarita. I'm like, what is
the mortal hydration.
Mortal hydration, had been used. I love Element, but the mortal hydration too. I've been mixing that in, and then the precision fuels, the chews, the carbs. Those have been great. I've always just had a hard time with gels and things that are really sweet. Those never felt good or worked for me. So that nutrition has always been an interesting thing. And it's just trial and error. And some days some things work and some days other things just don't. And so I try to do whole foods too. So any type of potatoes or cracker. I try not to do a lot of the gel stuff. Sometimes it's the only thing that you can do, but I try not to. And just eat like beef jerky or things. And I think about that during my races when I'm like, what snacks would people want here? And so I'll reach out to friends who are running the 50 Stump Jump or running River Gorge saying, you're getting to the 15-mile aid station. What are you going to be thinking about? Some people are like, I want an Uncrustable. And then other people are like, oh, just give me the big Cheez-Its or Goldfish. Like, okay, cool. Yeah, I'll have it all out there for you.
I never knew so many people loved Uncrustables in a race.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I mean, every race I go to now, I see cases of Uncrustables, just cases, and not at the aid station.
Yeah.
Runners, just like, forget gels. They're like carrying cases of Uncrustables. And I'm like, it's perfect. It's sugar, fat, bread. Carbs. You're like, good to go.
Yeah.
It's so easy. It's easy to carry in your pack.
Yep.
It's just,
For a while.
Smush.
I have had some explosions with Uncrustables.
Man.
I don't know if people have it in there for 10 or so hours.
Yeah, so at Georgia Jewel one year, I was doing the 100, and I had goose. Because I'm this guy that every time I run a race, I just use a different energy gel. That way I don't get burned out. And I fell on those goose. Do you remember this? I think it was the year that me and you were both running.
Oh, the second year?
Yeah.
Oh no, I don't remember that.
You felt that stickiness stuck to you through.
They were in my pockets in my shorts.
Oh yeah.
And it was running down my leg. Like I fell onto a rock and it just like exploded like 4 gels. They were like running. I didn't know. I thought it was sweat.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then later, as I'm running, I'm like, you could like feel it starting to dry. Yeah. And I was like, oh. So then I ended up using like my hydration bottle to squirt my leg off, and I was still sticky, but at least I got that part off. But I was like, I don't think I've ever done that before, but like, I'm glad I've never done that carrying Uncrustables or nothing, because that would be like way worse.
I don't know, those gels, man. Those gels are sticky. They don't come
Yeah.
off. They're
I would
rough.
say the energy chews that I have been using, like I love Scratch. And I had forgotten how much I like some of their bars and their chews, and I've picked those back up too, and I really enjoy taking those on runs. So
I'm glad to hear you say that. I bought 2 bags of Scratch, like the actual powder,
yeah,
for Mid-State Mile,
yeah,
because when I'm doing longer races, I try not to do as much, like, I forgot like how subtle Scratch is. It was just, I told Mary the whole day, I was like, I love this stuff. I was like, it's great.
and the energy
It's
chews,
just like, just a hint. It's just a hint. Now the chews are really good. I enjoy
they do
those.
the sour cherry that has a little bit of caffeine, and then they have raspberry, but they're also not. Again, I just don't love super sweet taste.
Yeah, I agree.
And
Yeah.
those are great. So
Yeah.
So when you first started, though, you were trying gels and this wasn't
I think I
happening for
tried
you?
every gel, and I will never forget, the first time that you're trying a gel and you're like, oh, what is this? And I went through several different flavors, and there was it was the goo salted caramel. I think that's what I ended up landing on. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
I can do this one, and stuck with that for a long time. And then when Spring and some other ones taste out, I'm great, but their textures too. I get really weird with textures, and so
I cannot do Spring. I cannot do Spring.
There's a lot going on there, and so
Agreed.
and so
I never tried it.
oh well, it's okay. Well, you should. You could have an entire podcast on trying gels. That's what you should do. Have some.
We should do that one day.
Yeah.
I think one day, especially since you're a race director too, we should, like, me, you, and Matt, Mike, John Harden, a couple other people get together and like bring all the leftover drop bags and do this. Have you ever saw these people do this?
Yeah, I watched Jamil do it one time.
So what they do is these guys actually take all the leftover drop bags and they wait. If no one's claimed them in a month or like 2 months or whatever, they go out and do their own race, and they do it like as a drop bag, and you have to eat whatever's in that drop bag.
Let me tell you, I have seen some of the drop bags from Steelhouse and I will eat some. I mean, it's Snickers. I think I'm trying to remember. Maybe it was Ryan Davis or Lauren Bayhofer, and they had Snickers, Ruffles potato chips, Red Bull. I was like, okay, I could do.
Yeah, do that one. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's this one part of this, like, I'll have to share this video with you if I can find it, but there's one part, like, they're all throwing up, but there's this, they have to do a lap.
Yeah.
It's like a 5K lap or something, and they have to eat what's in the bag, another lap, eat what's in the bag, and they get down to where it's just a bag of pills. And that guy just takes the whole bag, and he's like, God, I hope these are just Tylenol, and he's like,
Wow.
Salt. It's all salt, and then the next day he's just swollen.
It was the best thing ever. I was like, man, we should do that.
We could do that. Yeah, we could do that.
I'll watch them. I'll be there for support.
Well, Ginny, let's switch gears a little bit now and talk more about race directing. So you're with Rock Creek. You're doing the racing team. He asks you to, if you want to be a race director, you drink a few beers and decide you do want to be a race director, or at least give it a try.
Yeah.
How did that develop into where you're at today? Because you have, 7 races?
Well, I have 6. I'm working with Outdoor 76 in Franklin, North Carolina, to help put on The Naturalist in October. So I'm super excited about that. Rob and Corey and those guys are really incredible, and they do such a good job with all.
And they reached out. I'm sure they reached out to you to help.
We met at a La Sportiva camp. So Chad, who owned Rock Creek, who was my partner in the series, he moved back to North Carolina, which is where he and his wife and family are from. And so he hopped back on with Sportiva. So he works for Sportiva, and they had a camp. And that's how I met Rob and Corey, because they had a lot of, they had some race directors, and they had stores, a lot of their retail stores that came to this camp. And we ran and tried shoes and got to see the, new season shoes and talked about clothes. And that was when Rob and I started talking about, he was like, hey, I'm a store owner, but we've got this race. And I was like, do you need help? I'll help you. That'd be great. And so that's kind of how it all came about there. So I'm excited to work.
I love it.
Yeah, I can't wait to work with them, spend some time there, and get to know that community as well, because I think that is really the main thing that drew me to race directing, was just community and getting to know people from all over and hearing their experiences and all of that. And so that's really why I fell in love with race directing. But yeah, so it'll be 7 races this year. Yep.
Perfect. Well, tell us, so what was the very first race you race directed?
Stump jump. Yeah.
And how did that go?
Talk about it. Let me tell you, I don't think, it can look like it all comes together, but there has never been a time where I fully feel like, oh, everything came together. There is always something, and the runners, thank goodness, don't see everything. But I mean, that was so hard. It was so hard trying to make sure, I'm like, oh my gosh, is every volunteer in the right spot? Or is there enough water? Is there enough food? What about this? What about this? We had so we have to have ATVs that go out to Mushroom Rock to carry supplies, and then also to Edwards Point, because you can't get out there by car at all. And when Stump Jump was still in the fall, now it's in March, but when it was in the fall in October, it was always the same weekend as 2 of the private schools, their big football game and their big high school football game. And so a lot of the kids after the game would go out to Edwards Point and hang out, because it's beautiful. You don't have parents around and stuff. Well, we thought it would be smart to get ahead and then, put the aid station stuff out there, and we were having people there. And then someone burned the aid station and threw all the stuff over the blood. Oh, wow. So we had an entire box of food that was just completely burned, melted into the plastic bin that it was in. And then the coolers and table and tent were thrown over the bluff.
Oh, wow.
And we didn't know it, until the next morning, because we got a call. Somebody had been out there to see it, because the people that were going to stay out there and camp got really scared because it was so rowdy and left. Yeah. So they didn't know. But yeah, we got a call the next morning saying, I think you're having a race today, and there's some things that have burned. So we had to make some quick changes and get stuff out there, but no one knew.
It's like organized chaos all the time. It is. Yeah.
You would think, you think it gets easier, and it does to a degree when you figure out what help you need. I'm the solo person at Bad Beard, but I say that just as I have so many wonderful friends who help, volunteer and help me with whatever I need. And it is just like, I know better. There are things that I know I can delegate better now, where in the past I try to do everything myself. And one person cannot do everything. So I've gotten smarter about the way that I delegate, but at the same time, it's just, there's still tweaking that needs to be done each year. Like, oh, I need to do better about that the following year. And then it's something different. And then it's something different. It just happens. Yep. But that is a more, the rest of the races feel light-ish compared to Stump Jump, just because of the need for ATVs to get to some of the remote places and the crossing on Suck Creek Road, that runners have to climb over a guardrail because they won't cut that. I've reached out to TDOT several times saying, it says trail, can you just cut this so people don't have to climb over a guardrail? But then to climb over a guardrail and to cross Suck Creek Road, which is people Zoom, and I usually have to have Marion County Sheriff there, Forest Service, all of that. It can just be a little but the rest, it makes everything else feel very light and easy.
Now is Stump Jump your biggest event?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say Stump Jump is going into, it'll be 25 years next year.
Is it the oldest race in Chattanooga?
It is the oldest race is a road race called Chattanooga Chase. It's the oldest race in Tennessee.
I know that. Okay, yeah.
But yeah, Stump Jump is the oldest trail race for sure. Mm-hmm.
Love that. Wow. Yeah. And how many years now have you been race directing it?
This was my 10th. Yeah. So
that's awesome.
That's good. Yeah.
No, you would think I would have it down for sure, but each year a little something new.
Yeah, believe me, you do not have to say that to us. We know.
Y'all know.
And we're it's something every year, and then it's also something new every year that you need to do.
Yeah.
That you've never done before. There's always this one thing. It's like, well, I've never done that before, but I guess I'm going to have to start doing that.
Yeah. Too, I think for when I started trail running, I didn't have, I didn't have big expectations. I don't really know what my expectations were, except that I was going to get out, run on a trail, have some food at an aid station, and then finish. And there might be post-race food or something like that. I don't think I thought so much about experience it or what the experience would be like. And because there have been so many races that have popped up and so many more runners coming in and all that, people really want an experience, and so that's what they're looking for. So I had to kind of rethink what that looks like, and it's been great, but it's also hard because I'm not as up on all the new stuff or the things that people do now that are so creative, and I need more people to reach out and say, have you thought about this? And so I've really been thinking about that kind of thing lately too, is just pulling in more people to help me be thoughtful about experiences and what that looks like for a runner and things that are important besides, friendly faces and aid stations, which people love to see friendly faces. But what is, at the finish line, what do you want to see? Is there anything, what's your wish list? Stuff like that, because it has changed. The ultra running world has changed, and there's bigger and better, and there's so many races, and so I'm trying to figure out just keep in.
And there are so many more runners. Yeah. Truly, younger and younger runners are getting more and more involved, and which makes it awesome. But you just see a lot. You see a lot more fun characters now than we ever did back, 10 years ago when I first started running. It's completely different.
Yeah,
and I love it.
Yeah, the creativity that comes from some of the younger runners who send you hey, I was thinking this would be cool. What? That sounds so great. I couldn't have thought about that. And so it's just really, I've had this kind of okay, I need to make sure that I am talking to people on a regular basis just to stay with the time, to stay relevant, so that I kind of know what's going on, because I can do the same thing over and over again, but that's not going to appeal to everyone. It'll appeal to, age group and the folks that have been running Stump Jump for, 15 years. But then it's also, how do I bring in new people, or what's going to excite, new runners as well? Which is just an interesting thing, because it has the running world, the ultra running world has changed a lot.
Yeah. What is your favorite race that you race direct?
Ooh. Oh, there's one called Olakai, and it is David Lane, who puts on, Yes. And
Yeah.
so we started doing that. I really love, an hour looped course. I think that's so much fun because I love the idea of people sharing community and having, right there together and seeing each other and coming back and seeing family and how wonderful that is for people who are running, 3 hours, 6 hours, 9 hours, 24 hours, whatever they're running, that they can have people come hang out in chairs, cheer them on and see them the whole time. That just feels very rewarding and inviting. And it's thrilling to me to see, because you get such an audience and it
Mm-hmm.
does. You see kids where, if you are at River Gorge or at Stump Jump or even at Rabid Raccoon, I love those races, but it is just a different feel. You have everybody at the finish line waiting for their person to come, and then they come and they might hang out for a little while and then they're gone. Where here, it's just an event. It's an all day kind of community gathering, and that feels really good. There's something about that it's like, oh, this is why I really love doing this, because it pulls in family, friends, all of it in one spot, which is
Love that. Now tell us a little bit about like what all of your races are. Just go through the list real quick, just so we know.
I have Rabid Raccoon, that is a 25K that is on Raccoon Mountain. That's always in January. And then, it was in February this year because we actually had snow in January. So TVA shut the mountain down. So that's always in January, unless of rain, sleet, snow, whatever. And then I go into Stump Jump in March, and that's the 50K in 10. And then I have Steelhouse in April, which is 100K. So that is a double upchuck. If people run upchuck, it's basically upchuck. You get dropped off at Sail Creek and you run back to Soddy Daisy. Well, Steelhouse 100K, you start in Sail Creek at midnight and you run from Sail Creek to Soddy Daisy, and then you turn around. Or you run from Soddy Daisy to Sail Creek, and then you turn around at Sail Creek and come back to Soddy Daisy. So you have 19 hours to do that race. And then I have a break during the summer, and then Olokai, the race that I was just talking about, that happens out at, that's the looped course, 3, 6, and 9 hours, and that happens out at Reflection Riding. And then from there, I'll go into, that's in September, and then I'll go into the Naturalist in October. And so 50K, 25K there in Franklin, North Carolina. And then we'll go into River Gorge, which is the third weekend in November. I want to say it's the 15th or 16th this year. And it's 6.5, and then 10 and 20. And then we started putting on a new race out at Black Creek, which they have the trail system, or it's the Etna trail system. And so it's called the Holiday Hustle. And so we do that right before Christmas, and it's a 5K-ish and 10K-ish. And so everyone wears, instead of doing t-shirts, I thought, I should do Santa hats. So everybody gets Santa hats, and then Santa, some sort of Christmas medal, and we cook pancakes and do stuff like that. So, which is also super fun and easy. And again, Black Creek has this wonderful community space. It's gigantic. And so it's so much fun to be out at that space too. That's a new race that we just put on last year. My friend Jeremy and I put that on, and we're going to do it again. Just keep it as part of the series and the proceeds. And then with each of my races, so Rabid Raccoon, big portion of the proceeds goes back to SORBA, which is Southern Off-Road Mountain Biking Association. They handle all of the maintenance for TVA trails, so I donate back to them. And then with Stump Jump, it goes to Tennessee River Gorge Trust. With Steelhouse, it's the town of Soddy Daisy. And then Olokai goes to Reflection Riding. So we'll figure out Naturalist, what that will look like. I'm not sure, but I'm sure it's Bartram Trail. That's where a big portion will go back. And then River Gorge, again, back to Tennessee River Gorge Trust. And then Holiday Hustle, Tennessee River Gorge Trust. So it's always, and we give from Stump Jump to Land Trust for Tennessee too. So it's and then Wild Trails for cleanup of a lot.
Well, and I was going to say, you also do a lot of cleanup, right? Like you do a lot of trail maintenance.
Yes. I wish I could do more. And that's something that we're trying to figure out now, we need more Sawyer certification programs locally.
Yep.
And so we're going to be working with Sorba.
Me and Matt need to get that.
Yeah,
we need to. We're trying.
I'll let you guys know because they're hard to find.
They are.
You can get the ones that for the, I want to say it's A or B Sawyer certification. It's a weekend long process, and so we're working with Sorba and with Wild Trails. They have a great partnership, and we're trying to figure out how to get more of those here because we have. I think they cleared 60 down trees recently from the last storm, just in one spot. So there's such a need because we don't, and that's something that we've been talking about too, is Sorba and Wild Trails and just, incredible volunteers are the folks that maintain all the trails here. The city and county don't do that. And so it's up to, Walden's Ridge Park is Sorba. It's a lot. So 171 miles of trail that Sorba helps maintain. And again, they're a biking nonprofit. However, all of my trail runners, run on a lot of those trails, majority of those trails. So we're trying to figure out really great ways to partner and be better about trail maintenance and things like that.
Now, do you have your Sawyer certification?
So kind of, not officially. I went through the SECC program, the Southeastern Conservation Corps program, but it was only a day long. So it is basically like you're certified to be able to go out and cut with somebody who has their real Forest Service certification.
Yes.
But, obviously I never go out there alone and do it by myself. You always need someone with you when you go out anyway. You want to go cut a tree or use a chainsaw by yourself. I've got such a great core group of people that I can call in 2 seconds, go, hey, can you help me? Laban Swafford is one of those people. It's like, hey, I need help right away. Randy with Wild Trails is one of those people. Samuel Hammonds with Wild Trails. we're lucky that you can just pick up the phone and go, come with me real quick. It's like, okay, sure. Yeah. So and then even trying to figure out with Prentice Cooper, that's that state forest is agricultural. It's not recreational. So they don't receive a lot. They don't receive any money for trail maintenance for the, and that's part of the Stump Jump course of that, where Snoopers Rock and everything, that's part of Stump Jump and part of River Gorge. And so all of that trail maintenance is done locally with volunteers.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy.
Well, we're getting ready to do the exact same thing for the Cherokee. We've got trees down, and luckily we've got some really good teams around here, some volunteers that are helping us clear the trails because we don't have the Sawyer certification, so we have to do everything by hand. So they are there. We appreciate them so much.
They went out last week and did a whole day's worth of cleaning on one section of trail. But like you said, it's hard to get the certification. You're emailing, you're trying to get it, and they're like, well, we don't have one right now.
Yeah.
So it's we got people willing to do it. We just got to get certified.
Yeah. And I was lucky that I was able to hop in with the land manager from Lula Lake, and he was showing their executive director and some of the folks that work there, that course. And so I was able to hop in and we were in there out all day long, cutting trees, learning different techniques. And that was incredible. But the other thing is that you will lose all of that you learned quickly if you're not out cutting. And it's hard to get out cutting because you have to be with somebody else who it is kind of, it's you snooze, you lose. If I'm not out cutting with somebody, then it's just like, oh shoot, is it this way? Is this correct? How do I feel about this? And there's a lot of confidence that you need to understand how to make cuts and things like that.
I was actually looking at your website, and just for anybody that wants to take a look at Ginny's events, it's badbeardevents.com. Obviously, I believe all of your events are on Ultra Sign Up.
Yes. Yeah.
But if you want to just see an overview of all of her events, go check out badbeardevents.com. If you see this really cool tattoo of a big beard at the top, you're on the right webpage.
And I am the update the website. So it's usually, if the race is not there, it'll be there. It's just me not having updated the website. I tried to do it all for a while. I tried to do social media. I just can't. And then
It's hard.
Why am I doing this? So my photographer, Sarah Buckner, who is just incredible. She started working on the social media piece of it. So, oh, sorry. I'm forgive if you can hear the fire trucks in the background.
It's okay.
But yeah,
I'm surprised you haven't heard them fly.
but it's been great having her manage all of the social media side of it, because that, website can be a little tricky. I've learned just enough to get things entered in there the way that they should be. But the social media piece, like, okay, my creativity is just not there today. Thank you, Sarah, for doing this for me.
It definitely takes a team. Matt does a lot of the East Coast stuff. I do a lot of the Dirt and Vert Podcast stuff.
Yeah.
And we just try to make it work as much as we can.
It is. It's a lot. Then, you're replying back to people, you're commenting on stuff, you're trying to create new designs and post new photos. You're like,
It is.
it's a lot.
It's a full-time job. I mean, it can be a full-time job for sure.
Yep. That's for sure. My my social media time goes down when we're doing podcasts.
Yeah.
Because then I spend from Wednesday through Friday editing the podcast to get it live. So Matt takes over completely at that point.
Yeah. And then, you're trying to create videos and trying to, reels, and it is something.
Listen, no, that is where it's like, you're kind of, it's like, oh man, I am getting old, because I'm like, wait a minute, how do I do this? What do I do? And I was like, okay, I'm not touching that. I'm gonna have somebody else do.
Yep.
So I have a question. Do you have any? So we know you're coming out with The Naturalist, so that's a newer event for you that you're doing with somebody else. But do you have any other new races you're working on, or is that something you don't want to share?
I can't share yet, but yes, there are other things that I'm working on. So, and maybe we'll share some stuff soon. Maybe
this is
share
true.
some stuff soon.
This is true. All right. Well, let's ask you a question that we ask everybody on this podcast, and then we'll turn it over to Matt for some listener questions.
I think we got a couple.
But the very first question that we ask everybody, and yours will kind of be a two-part question. And we'll start first with running. But why do you run? And what keeps you going? Like, if you're always having, this little niggle, this little injury, this foot injury, or, you've had broken bones, obviously. Why do you continue to do that? Why do you continue to push through that stuff to do it?
I run for community. That's truly where my friendships are. And that helps with, that's a mental health piece to it too. I feel like there's something really special about being out in the woods with friends, or waking up at 5:30 in the morning and before everybody's going to work, and you learn people in a different way. You get to see a side of people before they're fully ready for work, and it's just such a beautiful experience to see the sunrise with friends, to see the sunset with friends, to be out in the woods and be in the creeks. It's just, that is where I think about church. That is like my church. It is, you hear that from other people too, but it is true. Just being out in the woods really feels, it's like when you're like, oh yeah, this is it for sure. Because it's the sounds of water or trees or wind. Just all of it. It's such a beautiful, strong feeling experience. That, and then why do I keep doing it? Yeah, it's mental health. It's all of that. And I need to move. I think something that I realized too, if, having worked in pharma and being in a car for as many hours that I was in a car, we are not made to sit all day long. Our bodies are meant to move. And so I never, right now I'm walking a ton, but that's great. I love it. I see the city in a different way. If I'm, on a road walk throughout the city, you see the city in a different way. You can, it's just being outside is just, we're so lucky that we have the privilege to do that. And it's just, especially in such a beautiful, beautiful spaces that we have. Tennessee is just such a gorgeous state. And we're really lucky that we have all of these beautiful places to go to and experience. And so it's all of the experiences of just being outside and being with people and being in nature. So.
Well, nope, great answer. And why do you race direct?
For it's same thing, like knowing that I feel like almost feel it's like a teacher where you have been teaching for many years and you watch these classes come through. And so I feel that way with my runners. Some of them have been with me for so long. I remember a few of them from their first race and then where they are now and watching them run, River Gorge 10. Now they're running hundreds. And it's just, whoa, this is how you got started. Or, came out to a group run and then they've done all of these things, and just knowing, like watching just their lives change when they recognize that they can do something they didn't think that they could do. That is the most rewarding, fulfilling experience for me, just to see people that started out one way and have really grown into just this confidence and just and the love of the sport and meeting new friends. I've watched people too come to races, not know anyone, and immediately have, a group of 20 within, by the end of the race, it's like, oh yeah, call me. Yeah, I'll go run here. And I love the connection. I just love seeing people connect in that way. It's really beautiful.
I feel like Ginny just recapped her whole podcast. You really did. That was like your origin story in 1 minute.
Yeah.
There you go.
That was perfect. No, great answer. And honestly though, that makes so much sense because that is what happened to you.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you got to see firsthand how it changed your life, how it impacted your life, how it formed relationships, and how you're doing what you love now.
Yeah.
And now you're getting to share that and see that with people running your events. And
yes.
I mean, that was a really an awesome recap, truly though, but I can totally see how that whole thing has worked.
Yeah. It's incredible. There are times where I'll go, man, I can't believe I'm still doing this. I don't feel like I'm good enough anymore, or it's like, I don't know if I'm a good enough race director, or if there'll be some questions of confidence. Like, am I doing a good job? Do people enjoy my races? And then I'll go, it's not about that. It's not about, it's not about me, it's about them. So just stay focused on them. Stay focused on, like, you want the person who's run your races, 20 times to have the best experience that they can. And the ones who are running your races for the first time have the best. You want all people to have the best experience they can. And as long as I stay focused on that, then it's like, okay, everything's good. I'm getting in my head. Just stay focused on doing the best you can for all of these people who are coming in, spending their day with you. That's the way that I look at it. It's like, people are wanting to spend the day with you. Why do they want to spend the day with you? And then making sure that it's like, I'm thoughtful about that and trying to do the best I can for them since they've picked me, So.
That's also what makes you a great race director.
Thank you.
Yeah, truly.
Well, I appreciate that. It can be hard.
All right.
It can be hard.
Oh, no kidding. Yes, it can be hard. And especially when, it doesn't matter how good of a race director you are. There's always something that goes wrong.
And I'll say I have learned to let comments or, you will never make 100% of the people happy. And so you can't let one or two people deter what you're doing, throw you off, because that's just the way the world is. You'll never make everyone
Absolutely.
happy. And that took me a long time because I just want to fight. Like, this was good. No, the course was perfectly marked. No, this was, and you're like, wait a minute, what? I'm not, this is stupid. Get back, come back, get it together. It's never going to be 100%. So if it's 90, yes. If it's 50, they're like, I don't know.
We're always learning. That's what's good about it, because even when you do have those one or two, that it's always the question of like, well, what can I do better next time?
Yeah.
You may not always agree, you don't have to agree with what they say, but it's like, what can I do better? And they may actually give you some good information.
Yeah.
And you can't, to your point though, you can't let one or two people steal the joy.
Yeah.
Out of the 150 that did enjoy it, or the 200. And that's the thing. It's like, you're always going to have a couple people that don't get the same experience. And for some reason, that's unfortunate, but the rest of everyone else really enjoyed it. So
for the people that will say, I didn't like this, or this could have been done better, you'll have the next person come in behind them and say, that was absolutely like that, so again, it's just gotta just go with it.
All right, Mr. Williams, it is now all you. And Jenny, who knows what they're going to ask you? Just be prepared.
These are really easy questions.
Oh,
really easy.
Well,
the first one asks, what is one of the most challenging things about race directing that most wouldn't think about?
Oh, to me, it's course marking. I think that is hard because we all have different ways that we navigate and things. We all see things differently. And marking is an interesting, whether you're marking up or low or with signage or whatever it is hard to get it exactly right for everyone. And I think that's one of the things that we were talking about. I try to think about it as if it's someone who's never been on a trail at all. So I'll try to mark as if like they can't get lost if I do this, but somebody does. And the feeling of that feeling of can be terrifying for people. And so that is something that weighs heavy on me every time. Like, fingers crossed, nobody goes off course, and let me be thoughtful about how I mark this. I put the most time in thinking about that, about ways to mark that make sense, that seem like no fail. This is going to be a no fail way. And I don't get it right. Every time. And that can be kind of a daunting thing that sits with every race. Like, oh, please, no one go off course knowing this, or, again, we've had people take signage and that too. And we're hustling early bird in the morning, trying to get somebody out there to go mark. And that, if the course isn't marked well and more than, people get off, that can just be kind of a devastating feeling, that it's just kind of out of your control. And that's hard. That is really, and it sits on my mind a lot with every race that I put on. So
I agree with that. Definitely. All right, the next one is what is your favorite race memory?
Oh,
that's a good one. It was probably so I will say we talked a little bit about this. I love the Wild Trails Lookout 50. That was so much fun because I know it just felt like it was in my backyard. And so I think that finishing that race, knowing all the people at the aid stations, and then seeing friends. I had friends that would pop to each aid station. So seeing friends and being with them, and then finishing and having a friend there with nacho cheese Doritos and a Modelo. and some flowers. And I finished, she's like, if you will meet me at this race and have Doritos and beer for me every race, like I'll run more races. But that was so much. I loved that race so much. But I'll say too, I'll never forget, I was not a race that I was running in, but I had a friend and I was his pacer safety runner. And that was a race that used to happen. It was called Thunder Rock 100. And my friend Daniel Lucas was running, and can't remember what mile I picked him up, but he was running well, but also like a little like, oh, it's night, it's late at night or early morning, dark. And we talked about different smoothies. I think for 2 hours, we talked about all the ways that you can make smoothies with sweet potatoes. It was one of those things. It's like, oh my gosh, we've talked about smoothies this entire time.
I've never thought about a sweet potato smoothie, but that would be like great race fuel.
I'm sure it'd be good.
So funny. Stuff like that. There's so many. There are memories that I have running that are wonderful, but especially being with other people, that's so much when I'm not the one racing and I'm the one popping in with them after they've been running for, it's like Caleb. It's like after they've been running for hours and hours and hours, and you're like, let's just get right in and talk about some weird stuff.
That definitely brings it out in you.
It does, yeah.
Yes.
All right, the next one, I'm sure there's a backstory to this that we may hear. But what is your favorite rap song, and will you sing it for us?
Oh my gosh, what is my favorite rap song? Let's see. Man, love a lot of rap songs. I'm trying to think about which one that I could do. Let's see, besides listening to, I'll say for the talent show in 8th grade, I danced to Mama Said Knock You Out by LL Cool J. Had a little Salt and Pepper Push It in there. I feel like I need to go to my phone, and I feel like I should probably go to my phone. It's like, I think I probably rapped some things when we were on our trip in Tennessee, but now that I'm on but now I don't know.
Yeah, didn't you meet them or a concert? I was trying to remember now. I missed this whole conversation.
Yeah, we were.
I remember.
Yeah, we did Pop in My Collar. So yeah. Ever since I can remember, I've been popping my collar. 3-6 Mafia. So we were listening to 3-6 Mafia, and they're from Memphis, and I was on playing Juicy J. I like MJ, 8 Ball and MJG. They're from Memphis. I listen to, we all learned this about each other too on this run, is that I grew up with a lot of hip hop and rap, and that is what I listen to. It's very weird. I either go new wave, new wave, or then I'm over here heavy rap or hip hop, whatever. So.
Oh yeah, man! You said 8 Ball and MJG, and I'm trying to remember. There was one song I absolutely loved of theirs.
They got a lot of them.
They do. There's one that was called Pimp Tight that I also have Space Age Pimpin'. What else would be?
Oh, that's some good 2000s stuff right there.
Which one it is, and obviously 3-6 Mafia's got some good.
Oh yeah.
But what is your favorite rap song then?
Oh, that's a good. So I will say I love Peter Piper by Run DMC, and Raising Hell was probably the first after I'd heard Walk This Way. I can't remember how old I was, but I had my grandmother buy me that tape.
I'm really starting to visualize what Ginny's playlist looks like.
It's pretty hardcore rap.
Yeah.
Is it all rap when you're running?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I don't know. I have my own playlist, but there is also Fit Radio. I don't know if y'all heard of Fit Radio or not, but you can go and you can pick your hip hop beats per minute and all of that. And so I love it. So if I can really going beats per minute. And my walk, I'm like, all right, I need to go, 13 pace for my walk. I'm rolling. But I would say that album was probably one of the most influential, I guess, that kind of led me into hip hop and listening to Peter Piper and It's Tricky and all of that. And then that kind of led me into the Rob Bases, DJ Easy Rock, and then into Wu-Tang and Eric B. and Rakim, and just kind of going into, all of it. Watched a lot of documentaries.
Now, do you have like a certain playlist you play at your events?
Yes, I do.
Has any rap in it?
It's got some rap in it. Yeah, most of the rap, it's...
You try to keep it on the clean side, I'm sure.
No, it's not as fun. I don't...
Let me tell you a story about one of these events that we did. We did a 5K for this lady fundraiser thing, and we played clean music the whole time.
Yeah.
The whole time. Well, after the race, we're just sitting around talking, and all of a sudden, the clean is over, the dirty's on, and it is just bleep, 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 bleep. People running over to David. Hey, this is some bad stuff. It's like, because you play clean lists, like you pick a clean
That
playlist.
was connected to my phone.
Yeah, that was your phone.
So my clean playlist had quit, and it switched to my playlist.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that. And I can't remember. I think we might have been at a church.
We were it was the Milky Way 5K, and it was for that fundraiser for Susan.
We were at
And
the school.
yeah, we were at the house school.
That is where I've been, where I'm like, oh, no. Because if there is something, I can tell what's, you hear it one time where I'm standing around and you hear the words, you're like, nope, gotta go.
Yep, you gotta go find the phone. Yep.
Turn it off.
Yeah.
Even some stuff it doesn't, it says that there's no explicit on there. There's no E on there. But there's some stuff that has slipped in somehow. And I've had to immediately look around to see if there are any children who's standing around me. Oh my gosh, I got to go switch this quickly.
You're sitting there looking at the playlist. You're like, it says clean. I know it says clean. Why is it saying this stuff? And you're like, just pushing next.
Well, at least we're not the only ones that have done it.
Well, it does it. Spotify and Pandora and all them get you with the clean.
Yeah, no. I have my playlist that I have all my racing tunes. I kind of go through all the different genres and so, but if I have rap on there, it's clean rap, but it's just not the same.
All right, my next question is, it's about your events.
Mm-hmm.
Do you plan to expand your races outside of Chattanooga? I guess the naturalist would be outside of Chattanooga.
Yes, there are a couple of places that I'm looking at right now. So stay tuned.
Awesome. The next one is, what is your favorite Chattanooga trail that you get to run on?
Ooh, that's a hard one because we've got so many pretty trails. I guess, I would say the Gorges section on the Cumberland Trail, which doesn't count as Chattanooga because that's over Sales Saudi area. Those are incredible. Rock Creek segment, Possum Creek segment, which is where Upchuck and Steelhouse, those are just gorgeous. You cannot beat those trails. Bluff Trail on Lookout is really pretty. It's technical. It's incredible. But most of the time, if it depends, it's usually somewhere on Lookout Mountain, like running on Guild or doing Guild Hardy or Craven's Run. Anything over there is always going to be beautiful. And it's one of those where it's inviting. So all the stuff on Lookout, if you're running on Guild or you're running up to Craven's, it's all inviting, whereas... And that would be easier for me to grab people to go run on that trail versus being on Signal and running some of the stuff on Signal because it's a little more, it's more technical. So I would say Lookout is going to be my go-to for some of the trail running stuff, especially too now that they have the moonshine trails that Lula Lake has built over around Covenant. Those are all really beautiful that lead you into, Lula Lake. but that's actually Georgia. So, a lot of the stuff I'll look at. And then also down at Reflection Riding, it's really pretty running out to Skyuka Springs over there. And I think about the trails that I run the most are usually depend on who I'm with. As you know, depends on the group of people that I'm with. So, yeah.
Yep. That is all of the questions I have.
She got off pretty easy.
Yeah,
That's good.
All right. I like it.
Well, Jenny, do you have any questions for us?
So what do y'all have planned next? What's going on with y'all?
So we have, as far as an event coming up, we have the Cherokee, which is, third week of July, I think, third week.
That's that buckle. That is the buckle that you.
Yes. That is
awesome. That thing is.
The new Cherokee.
That's great.
The double buckle.
And then we have Fort Frenzy right behind it in early August. And then we have Dirt Circuit the following month.
Yeah.
And then we get a little break, but we always volunteer for Firewater in Greenback and No Business and at Pickett there in
Big South Fork. And then we have another event that we help Ethan Coffee with at the Long Run that we partner with him. It's called Barn Creek. It's the last man standing in November. And then we're timing like 3 or 4 5Ks over the next few months too. Yep. So we got quite a few things going on. And we're working on 2 new events right now for next year. So we've just got the approval and just got all the permits and everything set up for this, but we're going to do a 3, 6, 12, and 24-hour race at World's Fair Park.
Awesome. That is incredible.
That's going to be super fun to run around the Sunsphere for 24 hours.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then we're working on a race, which we still got a little bit of work to do on it, but we're working on a race in Kentucky.
Yep.
Cool. Oh my gosh, incredible. Y'all got some great stuff going on. And I'll say one of the things too, you have such a presence running races and then also volunteering at races, which is, kudos. That's.
Well, thank you. We try. We spread ourselves too thin though, but you know what it's like. I mean, you want to give back. I see you volunteering at races too. So it's just, you can only do it so much. And when your fiance is also a running coach, you're trying to spread yourself out everywhere because she's got athletes running and I'm like, oh yeah, I'll volunteer for that. And I'm trying to be better at not volunteering for so much, but we still volunteer for a lot.
We do.
You have to take care of yourself too, to take good care of Mary, all the stuff.
Yes. And then, we possibly might have something else coming up, but we'll see how that goes. I think we all got to talk a little bit more on that one.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm looking forward to that.
Me too. I think it's going to be fun.
Yes.
And then I think I'm taking a break from racing. I don't have anything until September, so I get a little break now. I did my 2 races back to back, so that was enough. Now, Matt likes to race every other weekend.
I put a very heavy front end of the year together. So, July is mostly just leading group runs for the Cherokee. So, this Saturday, I got a 18-miler that I'm leading for 10 different people. Coming off mid-state, my left knee's kind of a little sore.
You better take it easy.
But we got that, and then I got a 6-miler with KTC for their trail series.
Yeah.
They got a really good trail series. So I'm doing every one of those this year, except for I think one because I missed it.
What's their longest distance in the trail series?
They got a 50K.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Norris Dam.
Norris Dam hard.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then Firewater is actually next event I got signed up for. Just Firewater.
Okay. Man, y'all are busy.
Just like you.
Yeah.
I mean,
I was like, I don't have any races that
we had to reschedule you 3 times. I mean, you're a pretty busy woman.
I swear it's the nonprofit stuff. It's when, when you're doing all these things and you're just like, oh, I want to give back here. And then you're like, oh, I also want to do this. And then the next thing you know, something is happening every night of the week. You're like, wait a minute, how did this happen? You're like, oh,
you're right.
It's all good. It's all good. I said I get a lot of the stuff, a lot of the boards that I'm on, or a lot of the community work that I do, it involves outdoors. So it's always just, it's great. It's stuff that I want to be doing anyway, even if, I'd want to show up to it anyway, even if I wasn't on the board. I just want to know what's happening here with this or with that. So all good stuff.
Yep. I agree with that. That's how we are. Like, we want to be able to, like, in the community, we want to, like, we're there anyway. We're trying to get stuff to go. So that's why we joined the recreation board for Madisonville, like, to get stuff moving. Yeah,
it's hard. Working with city, county stuff, it's hard navigating through all of those things and seeing what's happened, because, things just move at a very slow pace, and there are a lot of hoops that you have to jump through. And so it's awesome that they have y'all on that board too, that you have a voice to talk about a lot of the needs that are there. So
it's fun, and also you just kind of see sometimes how slow things do move. Like bigger things. And you're like, okay, well, I understand why it takes so long sometimes to get this stuff done. So that's been good to see too.
Yeah. So for the people, that's what, now that you are part of it, you can go, hey, listen, I know they're working, but it.
Yep. Like, they'll get on Facebook and they'll be in, like, some of the groups, like, I wish they did this and wish they did that. I'm like, hey, guys, we meet at that point, it was like once every Wednesday we meet, and come on down here, because we got a lot of stuff that we're trying to do. But when there's only like 5 people that come to the meetings, and then you got everybody wants stuff, so it's hard.
I understand. Believe me, I understand that world.
Well, Ginny, thank you so much for taking the time to join us and share your story and tell us a little bit about your events. It's been fun. And
thank you.
We need to come out. Me and Matt were actually talking about this right before we got on the podcast with you, but we need to come out and run some of your events.
I know, I was looking at the dates.
Least come and volunteer and hang out, because you do so much in the community and you have so many events. We'd like to come help.
I would love that. And same to y'all. This is, I love the connection. I love that we have made this connection. And so, I would, however I can help and whatever I can do, I'm here.
Well, thank you. Same. Please reach out to us anytime. And me and you will be in contact very soon anyways. We got other stuff to discuss. So.
Yeah, that's right. Stay tuned, everyone. No.
That's right. Well, Ginny, thank you so much and take care.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks, Jenny.